Hi, my tarot bumblebees, it's Ethony and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you an update to the top tarot decks for beginners. So this doesn't replace the original video that I did. It's just an addition or a part 2 or a 2020 update in regards to 15 more tarot decks I think are great for beginners. So before I jump in, please know that this doesn't mean you have to run out and get all of the decks on this list. It's just a little combination of some decks I think that you can have on your radar if you're looking for a deck to learn from. All of the links for all of the decks are going to be in the description below. So if you want to know what they are or you miss what I say, make sure you go and check out the description. So with further ado, let's go and do the things. The first one is my Modern Love Tarot. So this is a brand new, it just arrived. I'm very excited. The reason why this one is on the list is because it is a Rider-Waite-Smith style deck and it is really easy to read. The guidebook is designed to have, well, there's 6 different meanings in the guidebook to help you. And a lot of people go to the tarot for love readings. And this is designed for specific love readings, love meanings, but you can read it for anything. Really, it is just a gorgeous little deck and I'm really proud of it. The visuals are very clear. You're going to get a very solid idea of the cards and the meanings. I feel like it is a beginner's staple for sure, because if you do any readings at all for other people, you're going to find that a lot of them are love related. So why not have a deck that is actually designed for love readings in your collection. The next one is my Bad Bitches Tarot, and this is a deck that I think is perfect for beginners, not only because it is really clear, so there's no actual distractions because everything is just in the actual Bad Bitches of Tarot, but the guidebook is designed for the beginner. Everything is laid out in either the bear meaning or the business meaning, the career meaning, the love meaning, the reverse. So it's a really, really clear guidebook. And with this little doobawaki here, this deck, you also get a course, a free course. So when you buy the deck, you get How to Read Tarot Like a Bad Bitch, and I give you a bunch of free content, additional content, going through each of the stories of the suits and really diving into it. So this is another deck that I would recommend for beginners to have, especially if you like a more modern, minimalistic approach. The next deck, so deck number 3, is the Sawyers Path Tarot. Now this is one of my very favorites. I have it out pretty much all the time on my reading altar. Look at these beautiful turquoise backs. So this is a very clear deck. I love the style. Jamie Sawyer has done an amazing job with this deck. It's very bright. You can get the overall feeling of the cards very easily. I did get the guidebook that came with it. She's got a number of decks out, but this tarot deck is something that I would recommend highly for beginners. As you can see, it's this beautiful borderless deck, and it is based on Rider-Waite-Smith, so that it's a very easy sort of transition for you to put all of the meanings from one book or one website to another, or one course. And it's just a real delight to read with. I find my readings with this are always extremely spot on and very clear. So the Sawyers Path Tarot is my 3rd pick. The 4th on my list is the Darkness of Light Tarot. And for those people who like a little bit more of a, I want to say gothy feel, but a bit more of a darker perspective, I love this deck. This is a 1st edition. I need to get the 2nd edition like yesterday. I just keep forgetting. But this is Rider-Waite-Smith based. The paintings are exquisite. The detail is stunning. You can see here it has all of the sort of basic foundations of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it has its own very delicious vibe. And I just think Tony's done the most amazing job with this deck. I adore it. It's got those beautiful muted colors, but it also draws you in, and it is a deck, if this is more your art style, that I feel you will not regret at all using as a beginner deck. Number 5 is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot. It is super cute. We've gone from one much more gothic dark deck to a very light pop sort of friendly deck. I think it is adorable. The backs are super cute and I adore pastels. I've got so much like pastel stationery and pastel stuff. Again, it's all Rider-Waite Smith based, but it is unicorns. And I think it's a really lovely deck for those people who, I know, I grew up with like She-Ra and Rainbow Bright and Care Bears and My Little Pony. And I think anyone who's kind of got that vibe or that childhood kind of remembrance of those things, Barbie, all that sort of stuff, will really, really like it. And the meanings, again, transfer over very easily, which is one of the reasons why I put all of these decks in this list, is because it will help you learn, because you won't have to be learning an entire new system every time you get a new deck. They're all based on that Rider-Waite Smith foundation. So it's super cute. It's so friendly. I think this would be great for baby witches. Ooh, we went flying. Great for baby witches, great for teenagers, great for kids, and also the young at heart. And I would absolutely say that I'm one of those. So that is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot. The next deck is, I think, sadly out of print, but I can't do this list without it. So the sixth deck on my list is the Delos Tarot. I have both the first and second edition, and I hope, fingers crossed, they're going to come out with a third. This is a deck from Korea, and it is just the most adorable little deck you've ever seen in your life. So the backs are different on the second edition. I actually prefer the first edition backs, but I don't really care. I will take this deck any way I can get it. It's so cute. Again, you can see as we're going through all these decks, you're going to see that they all look very sort of similar in their little aesthetic. Because, well, not aesthetic, but their foundations and their symbols, because they're all based on the Rider-Waite Smith. But it is just the most adorable little deck. I love it. I had the first edition on my reading space for, goodness, I don't even know how long. It would have been years. And then this little baby came, and I also put this one on there as well. I think if this is your jam, you'll really like it. So one question I get a lot is, why do I have so many tarot decks? Well, there are a couple of reasons. The first one is I read professionally, so I go through a lot of different decks. The second thing is that I collect it. And the third, and most importantly, is I use different tarot decks for different readings and different tarot decks for different clients. So I have a lot of decks because I do a lot of different types of readings. And I find that an aesthetic or a vibe or a theme of a deck is going to work out for a specific type of reading, and that's why I like to change it up as well and switch it out seasonally. So number 6 is the Delos Tarot. Number 7 is the Seers Tarot. Now, I don't think you can have a tarot deck list without this exquisite deck by Chris-Anne. So I have got the indie version, and I also bought a version that is the Hay House version, because I wanted to keep the indie version as a collector's, because it was like a limited run. It was really, really rare. So I went out and bought the Hay House edition so that I had a deck that I could shuffle really brutally and work with every day. And it is just everything. This deck is so beautiful. I use it all the time for client readings. It is a deck that all of my clients love. Chris-Anne has just done the most exquisite job with this deck. I just want to look at it all the time. The guidebook is fantastic. She's got extra resources on her website. She is just a phenomenal person to boot as well. The Seers Tarot is, I think, on a lot of people's, favorites list. It's on a lot of people's kind of wish lists. It came out last year, late in 2019, and I'm so glad I have an extra copy. If you don't have the Seers Tarot, go out and get it. And just to be aware as well, especially with this deck, there are a lot of people selling counterfeit ones of this deck. As soon as a deck becomes like super popular, a bunch of counterfeit decks pop up, and it really hurts the creators, and it hurts our industry as a whole. So if you see this deck pop up and it's not from Hay House and it's not got the guidebook added into it and the card size is different, that is a rip-off deck, and please don't purchase it. The 8th deck on my list is a classic. It's been out for a very long time, and I believe US Game Systems published it. I'll check it in a minute. It's wrapped up in this little bundle, my deck, and it's perfect for people who have little hands. Was I right? Yes. US Game Systems, and it came out in 1984. I'm an 80s baby. This is an old deck. It's a really cute little deck for people who have got smaller hands, and it's so cute. So it's a little whimsical deck. I find that it's very clear for any type of readings. And I know a lot of people, now that we don't have like a standard tarot size for cards, people who have got the smaller hands are going to really appreciate it. I feel like it's got a very Hansel and Gretel fairy tale vibe to it. I just think it's incredibly charming and really, really whimsical. It's easy to read, and it's a great pocket deck. So it's a really wonderful way to take a deck with you somewhere, because it's not big and bulky. You can do bigger layouts with it because it is a little smaller, and it reads really well. And it's just, that page does not look like she's happy. It looks like a little bit like Snow White though. It comes with a little guidebook. Where did I put it? It comes with a little white book. So when you hear the term little white book, or LWB, it's like our little black dress. In the tarot community, this is what it is. It's a little white book. It's not a full guidebook. It's just a tiny little booklet. So it comes with that, and there are a couple of books that you can get that use this deck. But I just think it's a real little sweet one that you can pop in your pocket and off you go. The 9th deck on my list is the Watersprite Tarot, and this is by an Australian creator, and I really, really adore this. It comes in a lovely box. It's a very, very sweet deck. I love how like almost ovally it is. And it is, again, based on the Rider-Waite-Smith. And it just has a really lovely vibe. I adore the attention to detail in the artwork. That's so beautiful. Like I said, it's very hard for me not to just like look at the cards. Like, it's so beautiful, and it's very, very easy to read. So I highly recommend this for people who are looking to learn the tarot. And I really hope with these videos, especially these ones where I kind of go through my recommendations, you discover a new deck, that you discover something that you haven't heard of before, or that you can go and support an indie creator, because it means a lot to us when we get support. It's just a little beauty of a deck here. And I really think that if you like the vibe of the art, these were all hand painted as well by the artist who created the deck, is very, very sweet. The 10th deck on my list for beginners is the Robin Wood Tarot. Now, before I start to flick through this, there is a bit of a nudity alert. This is a nutty deck. What I love about this deck is it's very, very pagan. It's incredibly Celtic and pagan. So what the imagery in this is that which I very much sort of align with. And if you're looking for a very pagan deck, this is a really good one to come to. It's clear. Again, the artwork is exquisite. This is an older deck, 1991. This is published by Llewellyn, and it is just a real stunner. I like things that it's like I don't have to think too much about it, but that actually transfers from one to another. And it's just a really sweet one. So if you're looking for a pagon, I'm going to see if I can find like one of the, I love how that's her hair. It goes into the clouds. Like, it's so cool. I love the little borders. It's just a real sweet deck. I'm going to try and find the very pagan-y. Okay, so it was really just one card. It was the Magician. But for me, this speaks very much to sort of like Kernonos and the very pagan sort of feel about it. So, which is really weird because there's a lot of Christian imagery in the tarot. But for me, I don't know, for some reason I was like, I don't know why it was associated with it. But like, so many of the cards are really cool. So that's the Robin Wood Tarot. The 11th deck on my list is one of my all-time favorites, the Dark Mansion Tarot. This deck makes me literally want to drool. It is super exquisite. It has a very specific art vibe, but it's one of my absolute favorite decks of all time. I got the collector's edition of this. I saved up and got the collector's edition of this too before it sold out as a little present to myself. I love kind of like this Nightmare Before Christmas, Victorian, very, I mean, everyone is like stick figure-ish. It's just so gorgeous. I don't know, there's just something about this deck that I love so much. It is a little gnome looking guy. It is Rider-Waite-Smith based again. So this doesn't come with a guidebook at all. So when you purchase the deck, it is just the deck, but you don't need it in regards to specifically needing a guidebook. But if this was your first deck, you would be like, where is the guidebook? I can't say enough about this. I could literally, this keeps coming up. I could literally look at this deck all day long. Like I just want to sit and look at that Six of Cups and the detail on the border, the detail in all the little details in here is just exquisite. It's just everything. This has gone on my list as one of my favorite decks of all time, and it'll likely stay there. I'd fist fight someone for this deck. I would marry this deck if this deck was a person. So that is my next pick. The 12th pick on my decks for beginners is the This Might Hurt Tarot. This is a new deck and I love it. It is quite modern. It almost has a comic book vibe to it. And I like that graphic novel, comic book sort of feel. And it is another Rider-Waite-Smith based deck and is just so pretty. I saw this deck on Kickstarter. I got this deck via Kickstarter and no regrets. I love it. It went straight on my reading altar because it's just beautiful. It's modern, but it also has that connection to the Rider-Waite tradition. And it is just super beautiful. It's inclusive and I really adore it to death. And the holo on these, it's pretty sweet. So that is the This Might Hurt Tarot. Oh, look at it. It's just so beautiful. Ah, it's so gorgeous. Yeah, get it. Got it. Loved it. My 13th deck on the list, and of course 13 is a sacred number to witches, is the Modern Witches Tarot. This is by Liminal 11 Press and I adore it. This was super popular when it came out and it still is, and for very good reason. It's modern, it's inclusive, it has again that Rider-Waite-Smith spirit. It's very relatable in a lot of ways for people and it reads just so easily. Went straight onto my reading space on my altar and has not left it since. Loads of people love this deck when I read with it. I reach for it all the time and I just think it is an absolute stunner. If you haven't seen this deck before, welcome to the world of the Modern Witches Tarot. They even have a beautiful tarot journal. I don't have the tarot journal, but they do have one that has this artwork featured on it and it is just, it's gorgeous. So if you're looking for a beginner's deck and you identify as a modern witch, this might be the one for you. My 14th deck on this list for tarot decks for beginners is the Simplicity Tarot. So this is the indie edition. There will be a mass market edition coming out soon. Again, this is another Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, but what makes this even baller for beginners is it has keywords down the bottom. So as a learning deck, I feel like this is really, really good because it will help you. I don't necessarily need those keywords, you know, having someone who's been reading the tarot for a long time, but I love the imagery. The imagery, that white space, that negative space really makes the artwork pop. There is a diversity version of this as well. The people in it were meant to be not colored in any way, shape or form, so they're like a blank slate. But you can see my full walkthrough of this and many of these decks on my channel, but I would highly recommend this deck for people who are beginners. The guidebook is lovely and there's a bunch of resources as well on the website, and it is just a fabulous little deck to get for the learner in your life or for yourself. The 15th deck in my list is the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, and this is a beauty. Poppy Palin has done such an amazing job with this deck. Not only do you get value for money in this, but this guidebook is everything. It is packed full of information and it is modern, inclusive. It really allows you to see the magic of the tarot in every day. This is a bigger deck, so it does require some work to hold it, But look at those backs. The detail in these cards is simply stunning. I have a full walkthrough where I talk about the border colors and everything, so make sure you go check that out. But it is just such a beautiful deck. Honestly, like the art is exquisite, and it allows you to see the lens of tarot through very everyday magic. And I think it should be on everyone's shelf as a reader. It's something that clients can immediately look at and connect to, and it is just an absolute joy to read with. So I highly recommend this one. And those backs, honestly, I want that, I don't know, as a something. Look, bees. Poppy, you've done an amazing job. I love this deck. So that is my final pick for the list. There you have it, my little tarot loves, my updated 2020 version of the top 15 decks for beginners. I'm sure I'm going to have a new one of these or another edition of this coming soon, maybe in a couple of years or next year, because there are new decks coming out all of the time. What was your very first deck? I would love to hear in the comments below. Please, please share this video with everyone that you think will enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.